Hello. And so I just want to ask y'all, how many times have you felt that you had life all figured out and everything out of control or under control? And then, life happens and one thing after another just kind of starts to, pile up a little bit. And then, have you asked yourself, like, why me? What next? Well, I want to say that it's happened to a lot of us. And there's a chosen few who, to me, just have this really special quality. They have this comeback quality. And, they're an inspiration to me and so many other people. And no matter what life throws their way, they seem to just get back up and realize, you know what? um, this is all bigger than me and I'm here for a greater purpose. And so I'm very excited because today's guest continues to inspire and motivate and uplift so many other women. So today I have the pleasure of talking not just once, but we actually spoke a couple years ago on 15 Minutes of Fame. So Mikell Reed Carroll, I mean, she's an amazing woman. She is a pageant coach, a very successful pageant coach, and she is the owner of Carroll Crown Consulting LLC. She's held numerous titles. She's a mom, she's a wife, she's doing all the things. She's an attorney, she's a volunteer, she just does all the things. So I'm so excited. I am going to let her come on, talk a little bit about her story and things that are happening in bigger news. So without further ado, Mikell, join us.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. So good to see you again, Ralph Ann.
So good to see you. Thank you for coming on today. So yeah, just to I did familiarize everybody with your story a little bit, but I didn't want to take away from, but definitely you are considered to be one of the biggest inspirations, not just in pageantry, but in life. And, I've been following your journey for a few years now, and, how, obstacles have kind of come in and you squash them. You just squash it and you get up and you keep on going. And I admire that. I love that about you. And that's one of the things that I said, you know what? A lot's happened over the past couple years since the last time we spoke. So just bring everybody up to date. Like, what is, a day in the life of Mikell? I mean, it might take us longer than 15 minutes. So you can kind of give us the give us the highlights of what's been going on these past couple years.
Sure. I think the last time we talked was around summer of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So, and at the time I was gearing up to compete in the Ms. USA Universe competition affiliated with the Ms. World International pageant in Miami.
Right,
I
right.
was living in Serbia and I went to Miami and competed and I won the Ms. USA Universe title. And then fast forward to last summer or spring, and I was getting ready to start, preparing to compete for Mrs. Universe that August, which was really exciting. And then all of a sudden, I was also getting ready to move back to the USA from Serbia. I was living in Europe for the time at that time. And I went in for an MRI after having some hip pain. And on June 3rd, I was diagnosed with a rare condition called avascular necrosis, which I had never heard of before. I had to look at the doctor and say, I'm sorry, what? I have what? And I was a little confused. And then he explained to me what it was. He said, well, you don't have, for whatever reason, blood flow in your hips. And as a result, both your hip bones are dying and they'll soon collapse and you won't be able to walk. So yeah, that was quite a shock. And I just sat there in shock. And I was hoping that possibly, since I was in another country, maybe it was some sort of language problem and that I was misunderstanding. I was like, he can't be correct. Yeah, I must be misunderstanding him. And then he said, I need you to think about using crutches. And I looked at him like, I'm sorry, what? Like, what do you mean using crutches? He said, well, to preserve your hip so that it doesn't collapse, you probably need to use crutches before your surgeries. And then I was like, surgeries? Yes, you'll need surgeries pretty soon, in about 4 to 8 weeks. And I was just, again, in shock, devastated, of course. I have 2 young children, and at the time I was 45, feeling pretty good and young and healthy, and then all of a sudden told something that frankly rocked my world, and my family, of course. I called my husband. It just took, a mess, frankly. He came and picked me up, and I went home and started to try to figure things out. Of course, immediately I was a mess. I was crying in my room for, 4 or 5 days, just, picturing my dreams and this life that I had planned for myself sort of, spiraling downward, and that my life as I knew it and that I had hoped for and worked so hard for, really, in my mind during those few days, I couldn't see past that diagnosis. I pictured the worst. As a lot of people go through something like this, getting a diagnosis of something, and they literally just see their life sort of flash before them. And that's what I saw. So it was a difficult time for me, that first few days, maybe about a week or so. So it was difficult. But then, I've been through a lot of challenges in my life. I was almost 46 at the time. I've overcome a lot of things. I'm legally blind. I came from a poor family in a small town, oldest of 5 kids, raised by a single mom. I've been through a lot in my life. So I started to reflect upon those things and draw upon that strength.
Right.
And the determination that I gained throughout my life in overcoming all of these obstacles, and said, you know what, I'm going to start researching this, and perhaps, there is some hope somewhere here. And so I did a lot of research. I found there was this incredible engineer and surgeon at Yale Medical, and he had created a groundbreaking hip saving surgery. And for me, I wanted to consider that before getting full hip replacements at my age. So I contacted him. I found his emailed him directly, sent him all of my medical records, totally off the wall stuff that they tell you not to do, but I did it, and expected, to be honest with you, didn't expect him to respond. In the meantime, I set up an appointment at Johns Hopkins for a consultation for double hip replacements. And then 2 days later, this doctor, who is frankly, a miracle worker in my mind at this point, emailed me back. I said, Mikell, I think I can help you. And then within a few weeks, I had an appointment. We were moving back to the United States on June 30th. Again, like I said, I got this diagnosis June 3rd. We were moving back to the United States June 30th. So things were sort of spiraling at this point, as far as moving forward very quickly. Then I met with this doctor, and I had my first hip surgery scheduled for September 8th. And it's called a core decompression. It's a little bit of a complicated surgery, but basically they drill a small hole into your femoral head to promote blood flow, and then also take stem cells and bone graft from your body and implant it into that area to try to regenerate and regrow that bone with the power of your own body. So I had that first hip surgery in September. It seemed to go pretty well. I did have a complication. Then I celebrated my 46th birthday, and I heard about a change in the Miss Universe organization where they had lifted age restrictions. And, being that I'm a little bit crazy and very determined, I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to compete. And then I was like, you're going to compete. You just turned 46. You got 2 kids. You just had 1 hip surgery. You got another hip surgery ahead of you. Are you joking me? And I said, yeah, I'm going to do it. And so the journey began, and I really then decided that if I was walking after my second hip surgery, which I had in January, that I would compete. And thankfully, I was walking. I actually was able to model here in DC 12 weeks after my first surgery. And
Wow.
I know, I know.
Wow. Like I said, I have been following your journey. And that's one of the things that, I just found so remarkable, because we're friends on Facebook. So I'm seeing like these photos and I'm just kind of like, okay, well, that's kind of cool. But did I misunderstand? Because Mikell said that, on her post that she was having this, surgery done. And then I thought, oh, okay, that's cool. And I know that you are a believer in wellness and fitness. And I know that you are, and that's why I'm guessing too that this diagnosis kind of came as even more of a surprise, because I remember the last time we spoke, you just pride yourself on health and fitness and all the things. Like many of us who consider ourselves, this beacon of health, like where did this even come from? So I wasn't surprised to see though that I'm sure aided in a speedier recovery, and that you were able to, recover from the surgery. That and the mindset to believe that, you know, that you were going to be walking, and chasing after your kids and doing all the things that, that we do as moms. So fast forward a little bit. All right. So the second surgery in January, because I want to
Mhm.
keep up with this. So when you saw the change in the pageant, I mean, because to me, age restrictions, I get why each organization and system has and then you age out. It's just every pageant system, for people who don't understand, every pageant system is different. They all have their different age. I came from the Miss America program back when you would age out. I think aging out when I started was like 24 when I was a consultant for Miss America. And
Yes,
so they're
similar
like,
for me. Similar for me
yeah,
when I competed way back when.
and then they're like, well, what if girls go to, graduate school and they're older? So that's why they kind of extended it out a little bit. But anyway, um, to me, when you made the announcement that you were going to be competing in the system, I didn't even think age. I didn't think anything restrictive, because to me, it just made perfect sense, because you just look like you should be on the Miss USA stage. I just don't see the age, but just the quality, all of your modeling, everything that you contribute, to the modeling industry and the pageant industry. I mean, to me, you look like a natural. I was like, she looks like a natural. I,
Oh, well,
I totally see it. I
thank,
mean, I see
thank
it.
you.
I do.
I,
I think that you are a natural. So age restriction gone, you can be married, that's all done. So what I think makes this story so interesting is because you will be competing in the Virginia competition. That's next month. That's rolling around pretty quick.
it is.
I mean, how exciting is it, that you went from, this diagnosis to not knowing what was going to come, because then you found this surgeon, no coincidence, and everything's on the up and up, and now you're going to basically celebrate that by walking across the stage of a stage that wasn't even for women like us until very recently. I mean, what is that? Is it still surreal, or what does that feel like?
It is surreal. I mean, honestly, the most surreal moment will be when I stand before those judges and I get to walk across that stage. It's surreal already, but I know that that moment is going to be very emotional for me. I haven't been on a Miss USA state stage for over 20 years. I competed for 4 years when I was born and raised in Maine, competed there until I aged out. And so I've had this dream for over 30 years to walk on the Miss USA
Wow.
stage. It's been around for a while, so that's why I immediately said I'm going to compete. And frankly, it's this dream and seeing that the age restrictions were lifted and knowing what it would mean for me to walk across that stage, not only to myself, but for my children and for other people to see that, to see really, for me, this is what pageantry is. Pageantry is about lifting up and inspiring women. And for me, when this decision was made, it really inspired me, and it inspired through my recoveries, because really I just kept seeing myself on that stage. I kept
Mhm.
seeing myself strutting across that stage in a swimsuit and high heels and wowing the crowd, even though
Nice.
I just, I'm 46 and had 2 hip surgeries, and having my children see me and see that compared to what they had seen me do a year ago, which was frankly, I was in despair.
Mm,
And they could see that. I couldn't hide that from them, unfortunately. I tried to. We do, as moms, try to hide those things, but it was very difficult. I was such a mess that it was difficult for me to hide that from them at the time. And
yeah.
now they see how strong I've become. They see the positive outlook that that I have, and they feel more positive as well, because I'm teaching them that no matter what happens in life, you never give up on your dreams. You
Right.
continue, you continue going for those dreams and really just reaching for the stars. And so that's what I'm trying to do with my children. It's what I'm trying to do for myself, and it's what I'm trying to do for other people, because I don't want people, if it's a 20-year-old girl competing in the USA system, to think, well, if I don't win this year, this is it. My life's
Right.
over. When I turn 30, life's over. All these different things that people think, they put these limits on themselves for different reasons, whether it be age or disability, whatever the situation is, they put these limits on themselves. And I want people to see that when you get rid of those limits, you take them away in your mindset, that's really where you can soar. And that's what I'm trying to do. And thinking of myself on that Miss Virginia USA stage has really helped me so much to recover from my surgeries much more quickly, to get stronger, and to really push through on those days when I'm not feeling motivated. Because of course I don't feel motivated every day. I wake up,
Right.
I've had 2 hip surgeries. I wake up and some days I'm sore and I'm
Right.
tired. And I feel like I don't want to get out of bed, but I do. And I work out 7 days a week, and I go see my physical therapist twice a week. And I do exercises at home several times a week from my physical therapist in order to strengthen my body and
Mm,
strengthen myself. And again, this has just helped my mindset as well. And it gives me this goal to focus on, again, and I think you and a lot of other women in pageantry see this as well. That's what pageantry really is. It's this
mhm.
goal of becoming the best version of ourselves. So we can't be anyone else. I don't want to be anyone else. Other people shouldn't want to be other people. They should just want to be the best version of themselves. And that's what I'm always striving for. And this is really helping to propel me towards that. And, I also want to relate that to your average person who doesn't ever want to model or participate in pageantry. But something that we all have in common is adversity and challenges in life.
Right.
No matter who we are, I don't care who you are, you're at some point in your life, you're going to face a challenge, and it could rock you to your core like this did for me. And if that's the case, I want people to see that beyond those challenges, beyond that adversity, there is going to be strength on the other side. There's going to be joy, and you're still going to have good things in your life. There can even be beauty, and that's what I'm seeing now that I'm on the other side.
And I love that, and that's so perfectly said. And I love the whole, the Bible calls it beauty for ashes. And I think that for me, I think that's what makes it so beautiful. Beauty, you know, it it really can be in so many shapes, sizes, and forms. But when you think about the spiritual sense of beauty, I think there is like almost this exhale or elation that comes, you know, after things have kind of, come in your life and, taken you in all different directions. And speaking of which, because I know, like I said, we are going to have to touch on this a little bit, but I love, your outlook with everything that's going on in the Miss USA pageant system right now, all the negatives. And I even asked you, I said, so, where do you stand on this? Because I know a lot of people are like, they're coming in and there or some people are, in and then they're falling off. And then I said too, everyone has a different experience, not to make light of anything that these ladies are going through, but to say that I'm not going to do this because X, Y, and Z, I think that your experience is going to be your experience. And I know that you want to be an inspiration. And I think that that's the best way to me to be an inspiration is to look for the positive and to show women that you are going to have your experience with this regardless. And I love that about you. And I'm going to be at the pageant next month.
Yay! I'm
I'm
so
going to be there
excited for that.
front and center, like rooting you on, because I think that this is a part of, not only is it a part of history, let's not dim what the USA system is doing. Like we just said, there was a time when you could not compete I remember when you couldn't compete over the age of 26 in USA. I remember that very vividly. I wasn't competing with the pageant, but I was a consultant with a lot of the contestants. And so this is historical. A married woman in her 40s with children competing at USA, um, empowering, inspiring other women, regardless of what news and media are saying. You are here to inspire, and you do it so eloquently. And so, just if you would touch on that, and let everybody know, like, why, first of all, for those that don't know, just Google Miss USA. You're going to see a lot of negative things right now going on. But we're not about that. I'm not about that. Mikell's not about that. When you make the decision to uplift, empower, and encourage other women, that comes sometimes with a little bit of mess. You're going to get a little messy sometimes. So, but I think what you're doing moving forward, is just, it's amazing. So if you would just kind of speak on that a little bit, like, where do you stand on all this?
Sure. Well, with everything that's going on in the Miss USA and Miss Universe organization, it is very unfortunate, and I support every single woman and whatever their personal decision is in their life, whether they're deciding to resign and move forward, whether they're deciding to step forward as in their role as first runner-up and then take on the title of Miss USA or Miss Teen USA, whatever the situation may be and whatever they're going through. I respect their decision. Everyone has their reasons and their purpose, and they need to stay true to that. And that's what I have. I have my reason and my purpose. And for me, there's not much that I allow to take me off course from that. I'm pretty darn tenacious in my life, and I just move forward. And that's what I'm doing. And I don't want to focus on the negative aspects. And there certainly have been a lot, but I want to focus on the positive aspects. Again, pageantry has done so much for me personally. And right now, thinking of competing in Miss Virginia USA. Number one, I have to say that Miss Virginia USA has new directors. It's called the Fab Group. They're out of Georgia. They are incredible. I love them. And I've seen nothing but expert leadership from the Fab Group in leading Miss Virginia USA and Miss Virginia Teen USA forward. So I'm really happy with the Miss Virginia USA organization thus far. It's been nothing but wonderful, and I'm excited to see what my role could be within the Miss USA organization if I become Miss Virginia. And again, like I said, not much takes me off course. If anything, this has just made me more steadfast in my desire to be that sort of that light for people, for them to see what pageantry can be and what pageantry can do. And it's done so much for me. I want to show people even more what it can do for them. And this is a huge opportunity for women out there. Again, I'm 46. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I have 2 kids, 2 hip surgeries, and I'm going to walk on that stage and make history. And I don't take that lightly. I know that moment is going to be historic, and I'm really excited for it. And I'm excited to maybe begin changing the narrative for this particular system and hope to be a change in that narrative.
I love it. I am very inspired by, your story and your journey. And I knew, even though, we had this interview scheduled way before, all the things started happening in the media with the USA system. Like, I was already very inspired and intrigued. And I was like, oh, this is great, Mikell. And I knew you had had the surgeries because I follow you on Facebook. And so I just thought, what a great opportunity to come back 2 years later to hear your story. But I agree. I just think, like I said, everyone's experience in every system is a different experience anyway. And pageantry is just a great way for women to feel empowered. And it does give you a goal, like when 3 months from now I'm going to be on stage in heels, like you said, in my swimsuit. It just it gives you something fun. I know for me, it gives you something fun to look forward to. And then that little part of you that wants to compete, you are competing against yourself. I know when I compete, it's always like, what can I do, show up a little bit better than I did the last time for myself? What can I do to show myself this, or, to be an inspiration to other women? But I'm excited for you. Like I said, I'm going to be there front and center. I'm
Thank you.
excited.
I can't wait for that. And yes, I'm really excited too. And it is definitely, it's like that goalpost that's out there that I can see that I'm reaching for. And again, for me, it's inspired me to be better, stronger, more fit, healthier, just all of these things that again, when I received my diagnosis, I wasn't sure if I would ever be these things again. I didn't know if I would ever walk again, let alone walk on a pageant stage or model or be fit again or strong. I've lost so much muscle mass. That's actually currently one of the things that I'm really working on as I get ready for the pageant. I lost most of my muscle mass over those sort of 8-month period between June and January, and actually February, because I was post-op for 2 surgeries. So of course you have to take it easy a bit during that time.
Right.
And as I was waiting for the surgeries, I was really taking it very easy in order to preserve my hips for the surgery, because I knew that if either of my hips collapsed, that the particular surgery that I had was no longer an option. I would just need to get full hip replacements. And I was really hopeful that this surgery would be good and help me, and maybe at least stave off hip replacements for a little while, at least,
Yeah.
possibly for good. And so far things are looking really good, and I'm feeling positive, and I am getting stronger, and I'm starting to, build back to be who I was. But now I'm better in so many ways. Again, you get a different perspective on life, I think, when you've had some sort of an adverse health diagnosis.
Hmm.
And number one, it just made me thankful that I didn't receive a terminal diagnosis of some sort. That, just so everyone knows, avascular necrosis, it's not terminal. Worst case scenario is you get joint replacement. So frankly, compared to other health diagnoses, it's not that bad. But it took a little while for me to have that perspective. And I'm not going to say I felt that immediately,
Right. Of
but
course.
you gain perspective when you go through something like this, and you begin to feel grateful for what you do have, and blessed for that. And I feel so grateful, number one, that I'm here, I can stand, my pain is minimal, and I'm getting stronger every single day, and that I'm able to still use my voice to get out there and inspire people to, again, not see limits on their life. Don't see age as a limit. Don't see a disability as a limit. Don't see your status as a wife or a mother or whatever your status is as a limitation on who you are and what you can be. And so that's my goal. And thank you so much for supporting me in that. I really appreciate it. And I think right now that's what we need in pageantry. We need to see the inspiration that title holders can really provide to other people through their struggles, through their stories, and through overcoming really incredible obstacles.
Yeah, because that's really what it's all about, and a lot of fun. I
Oh,
love
it
the
is, of course.
inspiration. Yes, and
And
I'm like, and it's fun. Something that I think that women almost sometimes, because life gets in the way, I'm like, sometimes we forget to just have fun, and make it fun. So for those of you, wondering, why pageants, we want to inspire, uplift, and encourage other women. But guess what? We're women, and a lot of us that are girly girls, we want to have fun. We want to
exactly.
celebrate ourselves.
And we want to feel beautiful and glamorous and sexy. And that's something that, often isn't spoken after someone receives a health diagnosis, is you do feel less than in many ways.
Mhm.
And I knew that this was a way to get back to me and who I was and to feel fabulous again. Because I'm going to tell you, having two hip surgeries doesn't make you feel very
Right.
sexy or glamorous. When you're
Right.
wearing bandages and you have scars and things like that, you're not feeling sexy and beautiful and glamorous, and
Right.
this is helping me to regain that part of myself as well. And not all women need to feel that way, but I know I personally, I love to feel beautiful and glamorous and sexy. I enjoy it. So for me, again, this was a little bit of also taking back who I was, and a part of which I certainly, when I got my diagnosis, I was afraid of losing that part of myself as well.
Right.
And so this is a way of, coming back
Yeah.
and
And
and feeling
celebrating it. I tell you what.
that way, and having fun, and meeting all of these amazing young ladies who are competing as well, and just really having this opportunity also to go out there and show people, when they're imagining what's a 46-year-old mom of two with two hip surgeries going to look like walking in a swimsuit. Well, I'm going to look a lot different than what they think I'm going to look like. Just wait till you see me strut out there and do my little twirls.
I love it. And I think that that's part of, this process. To me, one of the things that just makes it so inspiring, because, people don't know what we've been through by what we look like on the outside sometimes. So that's why I really wanted to be able to, share your story and your journey, because I think that the inspiration comes from, don't, I don't look like what I've been through kind of situation. And I think, to me, that is really the true beauty, and what makes you and your story always so inspirational. Like, I wouldn't wish another left turn in your life for anything, but just the fact that you've been able to bounce back so many times. I think it's wonderful. And I just want to say, thank you for coming on and sharing that with us, and letting everybody know, like, the USA system, y'all don't count them out just yet. we it's gonna it's an amazing system. It has, over 70 years of just great things that it's given to women. And I think that by allowing, taking off the age limits and allowing, married women or whatever in and compete, I think that that's going to open more doors than it's closed. So that's my spin on it. And I just think that you're going to have an amazing experience. Can't wait to see you there, and,
Thank you.
continue to be an inspiration. I think it's wonderful.
Thank you so much, Rolf, and thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to seeing you and actually meeting you in person next month
Yes,
at my
I
pageant.
know. We're actually
I,
so much closer than we were the last time you were on, like a whole nother, I want to say continent, but I don't.
yeah, no, I was in Europe, but I think I was in Serbia when you did that interview with me. I was living in Serbia at the time. So yes, I was thousands of miles away and a whole continent away and 6-hour time difference. And now here we are, just living a couple hours away from each other
Mhm.
in Virginia. And I am really excited to be on this journey and to have your support. It means a lot to me, and I'm honored to take part in this interview and try to show people a little glimpse into, the USA system, rare health diagnosis, and coming back from any sort of challenge in life by having a positive outlook and really just being relentless at following your dreams and in chasing your goals.
I love it. Well, I will definitely keep everyone updated on your journey. And I will, kind of stay in the loop myself to make sure that, I know people are going to be very excited to see how you do at the pageant. So I'm going to be sharing that as well firsthand. And I don't know. I'm excited, and I have a really good feeling about this. So just everybody, stay tuned. And as always, thank you for tuning in. And here's to you becoming the best version of you.